Ask yourself honestly, would you want your sister or daughter to marry someone exactly like you? Would you marry someone exactly like you with every quality that you have? If I was talking to myself right now and I had to be totally honest, I probably wouldn't. If I was selecting a potential spouse for my future daughter and they had the qualities that I have right now, I'd probably say, no, you can't marry them. You shouldn't marry them. So I have plenty of work to do, and you probably do as well. So you probably watching this, you probably want a pious spouse. Who doesn't? Okay, but then you walk around and you go at women in the streets. You don't lower your gaze. When you're with your friends, you make inappropriate like jokes and comments about girls online and girls you see at work or in your class, at university, wherever it may be. Okay, and then behind closed doors, you watch pornography. All of these actions completely corrupt the soul. They literally destroy the soul. And whether you realize it or not, it will present itself in your marriage and it will destroy your partner. It will hurt them. It will make you unable to love them and appreciate them and show affection to them to your fullest extent. It will just won't allow you to do that. Okay? Because it will corrupt your heart, it will harden it. So then you can't feel, your fullest extent of love and affection towards this person who rightfully deserves it. So these are things that we need to actively work on and stop. Especially the brothers watching this. This can't go on. You cannot expect to marry someone and treat them as best as you can and love them wholeheartedly if you're doing any of these actions. If these actions make up your daily life, it just can't run. It just can't run. The point I'm trying to make with this is a lot of brothers and sisters, they say they want a spouse who presents themselves in a certain way, who's very modest, is always covering themselves and maintaining the hijab. A lot of brothers say that I want a wife who maintains the hijab and is very modest, but they themselves go swimming and they wear shorts. They wear swimming shorts that reveal the knees and the belly button. Okay, or online they post many many pictures of themselves. Okay, they either have a public profile or they have a private Instagram account, but many girls follow them and they post pictures regularly, so then these girls can regularly see them, whenever they post them looking good, in a nice suit or in this or that. Yet you want a girl who's got zero Instagram followers and is, private account and no social media presence, completely modest, under the radar. That's hypocritical. You cannot just ask that. You cannot just do that. You need to act in the same manner. You need to present yourself in the same manner. Otherwise, it is unfair to ask that from another person. It's unfair to ask that in your potential future spouse if you don't do it yourself. If you're watching this, get longer shorts. If they don't allow you to get longer shorts, invest in something that covers your aura. Okay. If you have a WhatsApp profile picture where you've got your face and you're wearing a suit and you look really handsome, or you got an Instagram profile picture where you're showing your face again, and you're someone who specifically doesn't want someone who does that themselves, and you shouldn't do it yourselves. Okay, in the same way that a sister needs to like keep out of other people's gazes, both brothers and to keep away from other men's gazes. You need to keep away from other sisters' gazes who could potentially see your profile picture and think, oh, this guy is quite handsome, and may potentially give you nazar or find you attractive. It works both ways. You need to maintain your hijab if you want a spouse that also maintains theirs. It's only fair. Don't betray your future spouse. Now, the story I'm going to talk about here is the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, where when he flees from Egypt, he approaches these two girls. They needed help. He clearly saw that they were in distress, helped them, and just walked away. It was such a short conversation. It was just, what's wrong? I'll help you. Goodbye. The reason I'm talking about this is because how many of us spend, waste time just having unnecessary conversations with the opposite gender, with non-mahram, you know? If you really thought about it, and if you really if you while you're having a conversation with them, or if you think about your previous conversations with them that you might have had, think about it. What did you actually earn from that conversation? What actual value, what actual substance came from that conversation? And you probably realize that the only thing you earned was just Allah's anger and the satisfaction of the shaitan. Like he whispered to you that oh, it's well intentioned, it's fine, go to chat to them about this or that. It's completely fine, it's harmless. But really, it was just unnecessary, and it opens the doors for more haram and for more zina to occur. So you best avoid it. I know a few brothers who who tell me that, like, it's just harmless, it's whatever, like, you're not hurting anyone, I have no commitments, I'm not married to anyone. But I asked them, okay, well, what happens if you were married? But oh, if I was married, I would love them to the extremities. They would be my entire world. I wouldn't see anyone else but them. Okay. But then if you think about it, this is just my theory. What's it called? If we were predestined, let's just say you had you were destined. It was the qadr of Allah that you were gonna marry this really pious spouse. Like, haven't you just cheated that person of someone who was patient and lowered their gaze even before marriage, even when obviously they had to because of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, because they don't want to earn His anger. But then they also don't have a partner that they need to stay loyal to. You could potentially marry someone in the future who is so chaste and is pious and was extremely patient their whole life waiting for you. So wouldn't it be fair for you to also reciprocate that and also act in the same manner? Why would you now cheat them of someone who could be more loving to them, because you spent all this time, wasted all this time with girls and chatting to them about useless stuff, and becoming emotionally attached and giving your heart to them. So now when you meet this pious spouse, that you cannot truly love them, and you did all this because you thought it was harmless, but well, clearly it wasn't. It harmed them, but you don't realize it, and you won't realize it until the far future. It's a long-term thing. It damages your soul. It doesn't damage, I don't know, your fingertips and they'll heal in a few days. It damages your soul, and that could take God knows how long to recover from. And you don't want to, hurt your future spouse. And this is not to mention that if you can talk to, a non-mahram, people of the opposite sex that you shouldn't really be speaking to before marriage, what's stopping you after marriage? You've convinced yourself that it was okay once, so couldn't you convince yourself a second time, a third time, a fourth time, even when you are married? Plus, if you're more concerned over your partner's feelings and how upset they could be than over the anger of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, then doesn't that show how weak your iman is? And if your iman is that weak, that you're more concerned over them and not Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and the anger of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, then that just shows how easily you could fall for the temptations of the shaitan. So then after you're married, you could go and then speak to people that women, men, depending on who you are, even though you shouldn't be, and potentially destroying your marriage. This is what a lot of brothers don't realize. If you talk to non-mahram now, you'll talk to them after. If you watch pornography now, you'll watch after. If you don't lower your gaze, you won't lower it after either. You need to lower it now and constantly maintain this habit of always looking down and always lowering your gaze, so that you may maintain it after your marriage as well and protect the integrity and the sanctity of your marriage. Take responsibility. Now, all of us watching this have a responsibility to worship Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, Muslim or not. And if your relationship with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is weak, then by default, then your relationship with everyone else will also be weak, including your future spouse. Because if I give you the example of one who will be a better partner, one that prays 5 times a day and one that doesn't, the one that prays 5 times a day has shown by action that he can fulfill his compulsory responsibilities that has been ordained upon him, as a Muslim, and just as a person on this planet. We all have the responsibility, okay, the compulsory responsibility to pray 5 times a day towards Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and worship Him. And now that same person, if they can fulfill that, which is, of the highest order, of all responsibilities that they have on this earth, that is of the highest order. Now they are more likely to also be able to fulfill their compulsory responsibilities as a husband or a wife, because they also have their own compulsory responsibilities towards their partner, to fulfill the rights of their partner, okay? And that person is now more likely to do that, because if they can fulfill, priority 1 on the list, they can fulfill priority 2. Whereas if someone can't even fulfill priority 1, then how can you expect them to fulfill priority 2? Does that make sense? I hope it does. Responsibility to others. If you haven't taken responsibility over the women in your life right now, then how can you expect to take care of another? We all lie to ourselves saying that when we get married, we're going to be incredibly hardworking, patient, caring, loving. That we're going to be all these things and more. Yet, right here, right now, how often do you go and speak to your mum or your sister, ask them how they are, help them with the cooking, help them with the shopping, speak softly to them, speak kind words to them? Do you try and support them or provide for them in any way? When you speak to your friends, your family, your parents especially, how many more times do you say sweet things compared to hurtful things? Do you even say hurtful things? Do you shout? How easily do you get angry? All these things are very careful consideration that you need to make right now as to whether or not you'll be fit to treat someone well in the future. Because if right now you're someone that gets very easily annoyed and angry and says rude things when they could be saying hurtful things, says rude things when they could have been saying nice things, then you need to work on those. You need to work on those characteristics of yourself, those qualities of yourself. So then, when you do find a future partner, you can treat them well. You can treat them kindly. You can treat them, in the way that they deserve to be treated. You need to constantly reevaluate and improve how you act and speak towards others, towards other people, so that you can be potentially a great spouse one day. So, what steps should you take now? Spend less or no time on social media whatsoever. Social media really ruins relationships. It creates anxiety and doubt within people that is detrimental to their relationships with their families, their friends, their partners, especially their partners. It just creates so much doubt, and it doubts like the people in your life around you, surrounding you, who completely love and support you wholeheartedly, unconditionally. It makes you doubt them, and it's just actually disgusting how many relationships and bridges have been burnt down just because of some reels or TikTok videos. It's just horrible. And so yeah, just I deleted TikTok years ago. Like God knows how long it's been now, but I deleted it a really long time ago because I could see how harmful it was towards me just within just using it for a few hours. Okay, like I just used it for a few hours and it would completely damage like my my mental health, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I just deleted it. So now the only social media I guess, except for like I guess YouTube and stuff, I use is like Instagram. And even on Instagram, I limit my time to like around 10 or 15 minutes a day, 10 to 15 minutes a day. So then, I'm able to talk to people, but I'm not on the app long enough that I can, start scrolling and start doom scrolling and just seeing, post after post, and eventually I'll see something negative. And I've realized that when I do spend longer than 15 minutes, when I do go over my screen time, I have a restriction on my screen time to just about 15 minutes. If I go over it, I always, pretty much 100% of the time, always see something that negatively impacts my mental health. It's always something to do with either relationships or family or this or that. And it just makes me think, oh, well, how can I ever trust someone? Or, how can someone ever trust me? Or how can anyone ever love me? And it's just so harmful. And so I always try and limit my screen time if I can. And ideally, hopefully one day, inshallah, I'd love to just have no screen time whatsoever. Just like, obviously I'll have some screen time, but just no more social media. Like I don't use Instagram at all, and I don't use TikTok. I already don't use TikTok, so I don't use Instagram at all, and maybe a few others as well. So then I'm just completely free of just the damaging effects, because it's just horrible. Pray for goodness sake. A lot of people always talk about marriage. They're like, I want to get married. I want to get married so badly. I want to get married to someone pious. But these same people, they don't pray for it, and especially they don't wake up for the Tahajjud. Now I'm wondering, if you really want someone pious as well, and you really want your dua to come true, you really want to marry this person or this person, then how are you not waking up for Tahajjud? It's literally the namaz that if you ask for something, you'll either get it, you either get something better in this life or the afterlife. So how can you not be waking up for Tahajjud and just doing dua for it as much as you can? So start waking up for Tahajjud. And maybe you could be in your Tahajjud namaz, you could pray for someone who also wakes up for Tahajjud, because that will probably be someone who has a high level of iman. And if they have a high level of iman, they might be someone who's quite pious, someone who is quite religious, who has a lot of taqwa, and that's someone you want to marry. That's someone you want in your life. Now, there's a dua that you can memorize and you can read, so you can, for specifically a pious spouse and to also have pious children. What's it called? I'll have it on screen right now. So if you want to memorize it, if you want to take a screenshot and then look over it and keep going back to it, at least that's at least what I do after every namaz, or whenever I remember, I go onto it. I have an app, so I go onto that app, go on the dua, and then read the dua, and then I just go on with my day. Ideally, I should have memorized it by now, I need to memorize it so then I could just read it whenever and wherever, even if I don't have my phone with me. But this is a dua you can have, and there's also multiple duas. There's other duas that you can make as well. So if you want to make all of them, if you have one that you prefer, it's up to you. But you should try and wake up for the Hajj if you can. And if you wake up for the Hajj, do dua for your family and to go to Jannah, and for your sins to be forgiven. And then you could also do dua for a pious spouse alongside it. Closing statements. You can't ever know someone 100% until you live with them, pious or not. So even if you meet someone pious and they completely really on deen and stuff, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be compatible with them and that you'll have a beautiful marriage. Every marriage is difficult, or every marriage has its ups and downs. But that doesn't necessarily mean it could be someone that you could actually live the rest of your marriage with them, despite the ups and downs. And so that's why even despite everything that I'm saying here, despite doing the war for pious spouse and stuff, you still need to make an informed decision, with your family and your friends, when you talk to them about whether or not you should marry this person. Obviously under halal supervision, with your parents there or their parents there, you still need to make an informed decision. And then, hopefully, inshallah, someone that's good for you, someone that's pious, someone that you're happy to, go ahead and get married to, and you have a beautiful life. Yeah. So as I grow up, I'm starting to mature. I'm realizing that marriage is more than just love. It requires commitment to compromise, to communicate, and to especially live with differences to achieve a specific goal, being Jannah for those, particularly. Because if I was to think of a marriage that is blessed, I would think of one where both partners are striving at every opportunity to bring the other partner closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to bring them closer to Jannah. That is a marriage I see that gets through it, that gets through thick and thin, that where there's love and there's support and there's care for one another. Because if you don't have that mutual goal in mind, to and go to Jannah. Because remember, what's it called? Marriage, getting married is half your deen, and the other half is to just fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then now that first half you've completed, marrying that person. So now you need to spend the rest of your life, with doing the other half, which is fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you marry someone who's pious and someone who reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and constantly, brings you closer to him and, gives you more opportunities to get closer to him by, waking up for the Hajj, or, reminding you to pray Salah and whatnot, and, read the Quran with you, for example, then that is someone that is bringing you closer to that mutual goal. And because you're both in it together to get to that certain goal, then, now you'll be more fit and you'll have a stronger, foundation to handle what life throws at you, because marriage is difficult. Marriage is very difficult, but that's what makes it beautiful. Because if it's so difficult, but you still make it through and you still manage it, and you did it with this person because you really, really want to go to Jannah, because you wanted this person that you met, this amazing, beautiful person, to, have eternal happiness. In Jannah, they will not feel any sorrow, any depression. They will never grieve. Okay, you want this for this person. You want them to have eternal happiness. So what is a more beautiful thing than joining up together with someone, partnering up with someone, and agreeing, I'm going to try and help you as best I can to get you to Jannah. You help me, and that's what we'll do. We'll fight through the rest of our lives, through any obstacles that comes our way, so then we can both, inshallah, reunite in Jannah. What is more beautiful than that? Can you name something? Exactly. Like every major step in life, marriage is a test. It's a test of patience, commitment, and struggle. And like every other test in your life, you can prepare for it, and you should prepare for it, And the way you would study, I guess, prepare yourself for marriage, is by, showing patience and speaking kindly towards your friends and family. Showing commitment by establishing Salah and Quran as part of your daily life. And then showing struggle by working hard in every aspect of your life, be it fitness, deen, work, whatever. And by constantly working on yourself and your relationship with others, and especially your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you make yourself a better son, a better brother, a better father, and a better spouse for your future spouse. And that is what I'll close this video with. That was cold. That was actually cold. Like the way I said that, just that was cold. Fire. Remember the 5th of November. I'm joking. This isn't about Guy Fawkes and his fireworks and Parliament and whatever. What this is about, what you should remember, is you cannot find halal through haram. If you find someone, approach them in a completely halal manner. Do not take the haram route. Do not date them. Do not, speak to them in private, text them, etc. It just does not work out. Okay. And I might make a video on this. If you'd like a video on this, comment. Leave a comment below this video, and then I might make a video about haram relationships. How to escape them, how to avoid them, etc. So yeah, I think that'll be all for this video. I'm not sure if I have anything else to discuss. But yeah, may Allah grant us all pious spouses. Spouses that bring coolness to our eyes, and children that also bring coolness to our eyes. The dua, Rabbana hablana. Okay, I don't know the rest. And that'll be everything for this video. Assalamu Allaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.